Thanks for staying with us. Now, Deric's been showing us around the gardens of Pearse Museum in Dublin this morning. I never even knew about Pearse Museum.
There you have it. What a day for it.
No.
How are you getting on, Deric?
Yeah, good morning, team. First time I've heard of it as well. Anyway, from reading and writing to revolution, Patrick Pearse, one of the biggest figures in Irish history. And from Alan back in studio, we've double trouble here because we have Alan Tomney and Alan Phelan. Good morning to you, gentlemen.
Hi, Deric. How are you?
Yeah, great to be down here. Now, first up, before we get into the house itself, Alan, you are the head gardener down here. Beautiful building. First up, we came up the driveway earlier on this morning.
Yeah, it is. It's very, very nice. Yeah, I'm a head gardener here about 5 years. And as you came up the main avenue, on the left-hand side, you would have seen our arboretum, which is a mixture of native trees and non-native trees. And then to the right-hand side, you would see the playing fields, the sports fields for the GAA and Camogie. And then you'd enter up then to see the main house, which is a Wicklow granite, built of Wicklow granite, built in around 1795, and it's of the Georgian period, and it has lovely columns there.
Yeah, there's four columns there to the front of it.
Yeah, very, makes the house look.
And of course, this used to be a schoolhouse before. It used to be a boarding school.
It was, yeah. In Pearse's time, he got the idea of this kind of, when he had done a visit to Belgium, he wanted this idea of bilingual, mixing Irish and English, and then he started his school here. He came from Collinswood. Eventually then to here, he was looking for a larger premises. He came here in 1910 and he remained here until 1916.
The gardens itself then, we have 50 acres of grounds down here. Beautiful.
Yeah, there's a large area. The wall garden was always attached generally to large estates. This one was kind of, we'll say, more or less redesigned from the 1970s when the OPW took it over. Prior to that, it would have been more of a working garden, and Patrick Pearse would have had the children in the school working on the grounds here. You know, kind of like a vegetables type garden, cottage-style garden.
Yeah, obviously, the cherry blossom just finishing bloom at the moment, but lots of other plants, lots of other colour here coming up at the moment.
Yeah, we had a very good year here because the spring from March to the middle of April was very calm. The blossoms stayed on longer, so we've a large mixture of cherry blossoms here. They're not a native tree; they're all from Japan. There's many different varieties. We have lovely herbaceous borders on each side. On this side over there is the south-facing wall, and the north-facing is on this side. And then we have a kind of a double herbaceous border, a mixture of interesting plants throughout the seasons. And then the main area then is four large grass panels with a focal point in the centre being a fountain, and we would have originally had a rose bed there.
Yeah,
and
beautiful.
now we have catmint or nepeta, which is very good for biodiversity.
Yeah, absolutely. You're kept busy. Alan Phelan, good morning to you, Alan. We're talking about the history of the building and stuff. What a beautiful building, but inside, in fact. Tell us about the inside of it.
Well, I mean, originally kind of Pearse coming up here, he was looking for an area. He had been in Collinswood, he started up the school in 1908, but Emmet, this area is very kind of known for Emmet's, Robert Emmet, and he was on the trail of Robert Emmet and came up here following it up. He didn't know at the time that Emmet actually visited the house, but when he came up and saw the 50 acres of land, the big house, and then when he heard the story of Robert Emmet visiting the house, because Robert Emmet used to visit the house, across the road was Sarah Curran, a person, a female he kind of took a fancy to, as it were. Now, the father wasn't too keen on him. Now, there's various stories, but I think it was basically fathers and daughters. There's no guy ever good enough.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Of course, Pearse was a school teacher.
Yeah.
A very close link with his brother as well.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, they were all very close-knit family, but yeah, William, and they were very artistic because the father was a stonemason. He'd come over from England when there was the Catholic emancipation, so there was a building boom in churches. So there was kind of artistic atmosphere in the house. And William, his brother, was very, very artistic and very good sculpture. And Pearse, art was very much, apart from the language, art was very much art and dramatic, very much part of the museum. So there was statues of Williams, and there was you pick up various prints and pictures from Casimir, basically also what do you call him? I've forgotten his name now.
Yeah, but his mother had a big role as well.
His mother, well, the mother was you know, the thing for Pearse. He adored his mother, and she was great. She had marvellous strength. I mean, interesting enough for a woman who wasn't kind of involved politics. I think she was a very brave woman because she supported them, never stopped them. Unlike some of the other women, they would have been into the politics, but she was very important to Pearse.
And of course, the 1916, we've just celebrated Easter Monday as well.
Yeah.
A significant time, especially down here.
Exactly, yeah. Well, today being the 24th of May, it's rather appropriate because 109 years ago, on Easter Monday, Pearse came out the night before, the Sunday night, into the house, had dinner with the mammy, himself and William, and they kissed mother goodbye at the door out there, went down to the GPO, and of course the mother never saw him again.
Wow.
He was executed before she could get there.
Wow. All right. Thank you so much to Alan Phelan and, of course, Alan Tomney for that fascinating insight here. opw.ie is where you can find out more online. But for me and all the crew, double trouble here this morning. Back to the studio.
Yeah.